Hello and welcome back to Gary's Garage, and in this episode we're going to hopefully fix the issues that came up on last time's test drive. So last episode we went out for the first proper test drive in a while, and whilst it was reasonably successful in that the car made it out and back in one piece, unlike when it went to the MOT, it still wasn't brilliant because I think we were running on only 4 out of the 6 cylinders. So I have sorted out a brand new set of coils and plugs, and we shall get those installed. And we also need to have a look at the brake balance because the brakes were not the best and they definitely could do with being better. So let's get straight into getting this lot in. So that's the engine put back together, and fingers crossed when I come to fire it up that will work. But before I do that, I want to attack the brakes, and my approach to that is twofold. Firstly, I'm going to double check that all of the brakes are bled properly and re-bleed them just in case any air has got in the lines or was in the lines before and has now settled. Try to push all of that out. And the second thing is to try to figure out what's going on with the brake balance. I've got the adjustable pedals and I can adjust the pushrod length to determine how much force gets applied to each of the pedals, the front and the rear, and I can also adjust left and right to put more force left, front or back, and it's quite tight up under there. So what I have got is a adjuster cable, and one end of this will screw onto the adjuster bar on the pedals. It'll run up through the dash and I'll find somewhere to mount this, and then this will allow me on the fly just to turn and change the brake bias between the front and the rear. And hopefully this will only be a short-term thing, and once I've got the brake bias just right, I can remove this, lock up the pedal, and job is done. Okay, start pushing down. And up. Give that a pump. If that's feel any stiffer than it did when you started. Alright, so here in the footwell, I'm going to zoom in there, and just there is the adjuster bar. There's a lock nut on it currently, and you need to pull that lock nut off and attach the adjuster cable to here, and then route that up round through the dash and find somewhere to put it. So unfortunately this comes with a big square fixing bracket, and obviously that's not the most ideal. There's not really a nice big flat square surface. This switch here, however, is currently unused because I don't have a heated front screen yet. So I think what I'm going to do is pull that switch out and install this in its place. This whole panel is going to be redone anyway, so I can put it in there for the moment, and I've at least got access to it, even if it's not in the best place ever. And who knows, maybe once I've got this all dialed in and I finally get the car sort of usable and redo this panel, I won't need it. So let's get this installed in here and see if we can get these brakes adjusted. So that's the brake bias adjuster now in, and with bleeding of those front brakes as well, the pedal feels a lot better. So time will tell how well it works when we finally get out on the road. But before I do that, I've got one more thing that I want to just do. The plugs that came out of it were very filthy and black and horrible, and a lot of that soot would have also gone down the exhausts, so I think that the oxygen sensors are probably also absolutely coated in soot. I really don't want to buy more oxygen sensors because I've spent lots of money on oxygen sensors for this car over the years, mostly due to me killing them. I think that's mainly because I would sit with the ignition on and the controllers powered, heating up the sensor to full operating temperature, and then I'd start the car and it would send a blast of cold air and condensation down the exhaust and thermally shock the O2 sensors. So I've mitigated that bit hopefully now by installing a relay that's controlled from the ECU, and a few seconds after the engine is running, then it will then power up the controllers and provide heating to the sensors. The other thing that may or may not have contributed to the sensors being killed over the time is the installation angle. I have installed them parallel. They really should be angled at least 10 to 15 degrees up from level. So what I'm going to do is whip the exhaust off, chop through the pipe, and because I've got the mounts on the front that are the just cylindrical ones, the name escapes me right at this moment, but you'll see it in a second, then I can just rotate them and re-weld the pipe behind the sensor, and then hopefully that will resolve that issue and it will get them up at that kind of slight angle, and that should stop any water pooling inside them and allow any condensation to drip out. So let's get the car up in the air, get those exhausts off and get them cut and re-welded. Yeah, I would say that's pretty black and sooty, so that definitely needs a bit of a clean, and same on that one. So that's the two exhausts now welded up, with them rotated ever so slightly on these V-band clamps to hopefully put these oxygen sensors in a slightly better orientation, just pointing a few degrees upwards rather than horizontal. But unfortunately that is all I've got time for, with the UK starting to open up again with coronavirus restrictions. I've spent a little bit of time going and visiting some family, which means just a little bit less time on the car. But I have managed to spend a whole year during lockdown on the car and haven't seen the family. So I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I now am up to, as a point of recording this, 300 subscribers, which is a massive milestone. So thank you everyone who has subscribed so far. However, 80% of people who watch aren't subscribed. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and there's the little notification bell if you want to be spammed by YouTube about it, or otherwise just check out your subscriptions feed and my videos should pop in there every other week. A big thank you to my patrons who are helping me out just a little bit every month with a few pounds in my pocket, which helps me pay for some materials to move these cars on just a little bit quicker. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, links are down in the description, and it would be very much appreciated. Other than that, thank you ever so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!